Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode is 250-something episodes in the making. It's something we've talked about, we've joked about, we've run in circles around. And now, it's finally here. We done dang did it. This week, this episode, is the folk horror film Midsommar, written and directed by Ari Aster and released July 3rd, 2019. Which, 2019, it feels like it was even earlier than that. Like, it doesn't feel like it was the year before the pandemic started. Like, I feel like it was earlier than that even when I saw this, because I saw this in theaters.
I know.
When it came out.
That's when we were living normal lives without even thinking about the pandemic. There was no talk of it. It was business as usual. It was going to the theater. It was living life, having fun. I didn't even know you at this point this movie came out.
Yeah.
I was in the Zedhead group, but I really hadn't talked to anyone that much in it. I was just part of it, so I didn't know anyone. Yeah.
I think it's been on the record on this podcast a number of times that we will never cover this movie. So now that we're covering this movie,
hell has frozen over. Well, the reason behind this is we spun the wheel. It came up, and I guess I just, in a moment of, I don't know, a brain fog or my guard was down, I said, okay, but if we're going to cover Midsommar, I want to do The Wicker Man first.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did The Wicker Man last week, which means that this week, because we trust the wheel, or rather, we do what the wheel tells us.
Yes.
Here it is. I don't know how fans of this movie are going to react to this episode. I hope you see where I'm coming from, or you process through it with me. Because I remember back when we did episode 6 of Run for Your Lives, which was The Ritual. Mm-hmm. I came into that movie and I didn't like it the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
But through discussing it and watching it again, I grew to really appreciate it. We are going to see if that is what happens today.
We'll see. I don't know. And I don't even set that up as like, oh yeah, we'll see about that. Like, I honestly don't know. I'm curious to see how this goes. Because I've been on record saying I didn't care for this movie very much. And I don't know if it was when I first saw it in theaters, I had not seen Hereditary. I still haven't seen Hereditary. I want to. I need to, just to get it done and see it. Especially, and I'm kind of, cutting ahead a little bit, especially now after watching this a second time. And I'm like, okay, I think I get Ari Aster a little more. And I'm curious to see Hereditary with that. Because, I don't know if I was expecting something different, and it's just not what I was expecting. But seeing it again today, to take notes, really breaking down some of the themes and some of the things that I remembered from the first time I saw it, and then seeing how they foreshadow and set those things up, plus having The Wicker Man in my head from last week and seeing the parallels, I enjoyed this movie immensely more than I did the first time I saw it. I actually really liked this second watch of this movie. Knowing what it was, not being like, expecting one thing, getting another, but knowing exactly what I was getting into and then being able to focus on that and figure out the themes and the story within that. I did turn around on this movie. I actually was like, oh no, this is very good. I do like this a lot on the second watch. I did appreciate going back and revisiting this one.
Well, I have seen Hereditary, and I hated Hereditary even more than Midsommar. I am not an Ari Aster fan. I'm pretty sure I've said that on this podcast before. Eddington was the first movie that I saw by him that I actually got and enjoyed. I did not see Beau is Afraid. I will never see Beau is Afraid because I've seen the entire Wikipedia synopsis of it, and I'm grateful to have not put myself through it. If you want to do Hereditary on this podcast, can we please wait until next season? Because I don't think I have it in me to go through another
more
one.
Ari Aster this season?
No. No.
Yeah, we've got to give him 2 chances to win Director of the Season, right?
No. Not today, tomorrow, or next season. When I went to see this in the theater, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I got, and I was really irritated and bugged by the end of it. And so this movie has had a basement level place in my heart, meaning I didn't ever want to hear it or see it again. Ever. But it was on the wheel. And we're gonna cover it. We're gonna process through it, because sometimes talking about it will help me look at things differently. There were some things when I was watching it, I kind of took this mindset of, I need to find things to like. I need to find things to understand, because the first time I watched it, I didn't like it or understand it or care about it. I was more irritated by the end. In my house, it's a source of irritation because every time I mention it, Chris is like, you hated that movie. I don't understand why you hated that movie. And so maybe he can listen to this and understand it better if I just put it out in words why I don't like it.
I'm curious too, because we've never really had the discussion, because as much as we've joked about it and even said, like, we're not going to cover it because you didn't like it, it's always been on the back burner. We always kind of knew that eventually this day would come, that, especially as you mentioned with the ritual, because that happened, it was like, well, we have to do, I mean, that experiment will have to take place. We're going to have to force you to relive this movie to see if that also changes things, if it affects, like, now it has to be done. So we haven't talked about this movie and what we do or didn't like. We've never been specific when we bring it up, because I think we always kind of knew this day was coming and we were going to talk about it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that also I just put it off because I did not want to watch it again, and I knew the wheel was going to pick the time. I knew it. But I at least wanted to do The Wicker Man first, because I think I said this last week. That's a movie that lies very close to my heart. I own it in a lot of different versions. And Midsommar was compared to Wicker Man a lot of the time. And I just preferred The Wicker Man and the way that that story was told. Even if it is 50 years old, I still preferred it. I still prefer it. We'll see what I learn to appreciate or not appreciate in this version. I did come out of it. What I will say is I did come out of it with a different perspective and thoughts than I did the first time I watched it, because I was paying attention to certain things. Because I remember stuff that bugged me in the first time around that I wanted to see. Does it still bug me, or do I understand it better? And so there's some themes in this that I hadn't really thought about until I was watching it this time. And it was like, oh, yeah, that is not okay. This group, wow, there's a lot to talk about that we will definitely get into. But not before we do a few production notes. Was filmed in Budapest, Budakeszi, and Etiek, Hungary, as well as Utah and New York City in the United States. It was Ari Aster's second feature film, and Ari Aster has written all of his movies. He created the story while going through a breakup of his own and described the film as, quote, a breakup movie dressed in the clothes of a folk horror film.
Yep, that's accurate.
The budget was $9 million, and it grossed $48.5 million at the box office. It's 141 minutes long. No, we did not cover the one that's like 171 minutes, I think. This big director's cut. No, we're covering the straight-on version. So,
as far as I know, it's whatever was on Max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the version we're covering. Pake, give us a synopsis.
All right. A group travels to Northern Europe to visit a rural hometown's fabled Swedish Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre ceremony at the hands of a pagan cult.
Wow. Well, it's a different type of story than what we got last week with Sergeant Howie, but it also involves a pagan cult, so there are some similarities that we'll more than likely talk about.
Yeah. With a May, queen, and there's maypoles, and it's very much Midsummer Festival. So the Wicker Man comparisons make sense because it is a folk horror based on the same kind of pagan rituals and ancient kind of things. So in that case, yeah, I mean, it does end with a big fire, a big wooden structure on fire. So there is also that with human sacrifice involved. So yeah, I get the comparisons.
Definitely. People have made fun of me for calling this movie Midsommar, but I have, I have clout behind it now. That's how Ari Aster pronounces it. Not Midsummer, Midsommar. And so I feel vindicated by that. I may not agree with him on anything else, but I do agree and am supported by the fact that this is how he pronounces the title of the movie. I already mentioned that Eddington is the only Ari Aster movie that I would probably watch again. He does have a tendency to work with the same people. Joaquin Phoenix has been one of his regulars. He also has a very distinct point of view with his movies, and people have compared him with Robert Eggers, who is another director that I am hot and cold on.
I get their stuff confused sometimes, to the point where I was like, I need to watch more Ari Aster stuff, because this is the only one I've seen. I still haven't seen Hereditary. I haven't watched Beau is Afraid. I haven't watched Eddington. And then while I was thinking, I was like, man, this is the only Ari Aster movie I actually seen. And in that head, I was like, and I haven't seen The Witch. And then I had to go back and go, no, wait, that's Eggers. Which I've seen more of Eggers' stuff. And he's also, there is a similarity because also based on the way you feel about Ari Aster, Robert Eggers is one that I'm like, I appreciate his point of view and what he's doing, but there's certain things, and I think when we talked about this when we covered Nosferatu.
Yes.
That there are Eggersisms. There are things that he does that I don't like, that are very his style. And so I'm not a huge Eggers fan. I've seen more. I haven't seen The Witch yet, but I did see The Lighthouse and did not care for it.
I did not go down that road because the commercial alone for it made me realize that I was never going to want to watch it.
Yeah. The Northmen I really liked, except for the handful of Eggersisms that bothered me. There were things that are very Eggers in that movie that I was like, I wish he wouldn't have done that. I don't, but then overall, it was a very good movie. And so Nosferatu, obviously, if you've listened to this podcast and listened to our coverage of that, you know how much we both adored that movie. So he hit a home run there. So I'm like, okay, we'll see.
It's hot and cold. It's like, okay, I will give you a chance. Eddington gave me a reason to give you a chance.
Yeah, so that's, bringing up Eggers is, the reason. So I'm like, now I'm like, because I was kind of put off of Ari Aster because of my first, thought on this movie. And now rewatching it, and enjoying it a lot more and getting a lot more of what I missed the first time, going, okay, I should dive into more Ari Aster and see for myself really how those other films feel for me.
Yeah. Well, enjoy Beau is Afraid. I cannot and will not ever touch it. A couple of thoughts off the top before we jump in deeper. Is this movie a testament to how cults actually trap people through subtle manipulation, care, love bombing, and drugs? One thing I won't complain about with Ari Aster is the scenery and how in this movie was bright and beautiful, which is such a contrast to Hereditary. But things are so vivid and colorful, and the sound design is so solid. Yes. The score, everything all works together.
Oh yeah, I have specific, even outside of Oscar season where I'm usually paying even more attention to these things, or I have specific notes pointing out sound and cinematography and things like that. So yeah, it's solid.
He's really good. The overhead shots, the flipping the camera in the 180 degree, like 180 degree flipping, which he did that in Hereditary too. Those are things that just, they stand out. One big question that I started with at the beginning of this, because it's something that I was frustrated about or irritated about at the end of seeing it the first time. Who is the real villain? Because I think when I watched it the first time, I thought Christian was supposed to be the real villain. And I've come out of it this time feeling different with who the real villain is. And it's funny because a character that I really like is not a good guy in this. I have paid attention throughout and just noted some of the things that he did, whether he did it maliciously or if it was just, part of his upbringing. I don't know, but we'll see.
I'm curious to see if we have some of the similar thoughts when talking about Pele. So yeah, yes. I know what you're referring to because I'm like looking at my notes and going like, yeah, that's also something kind of new I picked up, and there's some thoughts on that. So I figured we're going in the same direction on that. Yeah.
I ended first watch seeing it in the theater, hating Christian and liking Pele. And this time I have very different thoughts on those characters. They're complicated, but we'll get through it. But there's so much about this that I didn't notice the first time through. Because when you're in a movie theater, even if you're a podcaster, which I wasn't at the time I was doing this, you're not sitting there taking notes on your phone. You're watching a movie and you're just taking it all in. When you can watch it at home and take notes, it's a different beast.
Yep. We could break it up by character and stuff, but a lot of it is, again, kind of one linear story following Danny mostly, and then there's some stuff with Christian, and I'm confused because it's like Christian is what I want to say, but like she calls him Christian, like she puts emphasis on that when talking about him, so I'm like, maybe that is okay.
I don't know.
So I don't know.
I called him Christian though, like that's what I see, so we'll see.
Yeah, so I mean there's definitely things that I want to talk about with him, but I figured we'll just run through it in, chronological order. And it's also, again, just the kind of laziness where I'm like, I don't have to reorganize or compile my notes in any way. I just get to do them the order I took them while I watched the movie. And that saves me like 30 minutes. So.
Well, I also think that this is one of those stories that lends itself to being covered that way. Mm-hmm. We try with most of our movies to have it be that we can do them character-based, but not every movie lines up that way. And so I think we're doing a better service to the movie to cover it this way.
Yeah.
So we do start with Danny, who is in a complicated relationship with her boyfriend, who seems to want to dump her, or at least his friends want him to dump her. I paid more attention to that relationship between the two of them because to me, it just seemed like he was a jerk right from the beginning. This time through, I got a different sense. I do think he cares about her. I think his friends, they don't like that she's clingy or needs him. And so they give him a lot of shit about it.
Right. Yeah, it's the same. I'll say I gave him more credit and more grace, but then also I rip into him a little bit too, because it's not because at first, whenever I'm doing my notes, because like my first things is I'm like, he's a dick. But then I'm like thinking about it, and it's like the more you see him, it's like, no, it's that he surrounds himself with dicks. Yeah. The company you keep. And it's a different character flaw that he has that creates that problem. And I'll get into that, some of the other things that are, there's definitely some major flaws with him that he should have worked on that make him not the best person, but also he's not the worst either.
No, he definitely isn't. Yeah. And that's how I ended my first watch, thinking he was a terrible person. And that is not what I took away from this, because I watched him in this movie with a critical eye right from the beginning. And I'm like, why did I think that when I was watching it the first time? Have I been podcasting long enough that now I just look at things more objectively? Or I don't know, but...
Yeah, and we see her in a very anxious state. I mean, she's taking Ativan, like she's already suffering from legit like anxiety issues and disorder. Like, so that's one thing. We know, like, the mental health issues are in her family. She mentions her sister's bipolar, and we pick up with her getting this message from that sister, very disturbing message, and she's not responding, and so Danny's spiraling. And she's spiraling in multiple ways, because not only is it with like her sister and her parents, but then she keeps reaching out to Christian. And then the way that he's responding, the things he's saying, his tone of voice, she's reading into it, which, I mean, she is hearing kind of what is going on. But then she's like, well, every time I keep calling him or texting him, I'm driving him further away, and he's tired of me. And she just keeps freaking out. And then I was just like, it's not all her fault. Like, he's kind of not great either. But again, it's because of the people who are around him, specifically Mark, which is crazy because I love Will Poulter, but man, Mark is such a douchebag.
Oh, man.
I was like, I'm going to have to watch The Bear after this just to get wholesome Will Poulter back. I need Will Poulter back in my head, wholesome. And then even Josh isn't like super great. He's just kind of very self-absorbed and like better than thou kind of mentality.
Yeah. I get that.
I just wrote down Josh is dark cheaty. That's what he is.
Okay.
Because it's William Jackson Harper, who if anybody knows the reference, he plays the character of Cheaty on The Good Place. And the characters are very similar, as they're brilliant philosophy people who are constantly reading into social behavior and talking about and wanting to understand. But Cheaty is friendly and nice and moral and cares about others. Josh is dark Cheaty. He's too smart for his own good, and he knows that he's smarter than everybody else and holds that above them.
You know what? That makes sense. I've never seen The Good Place, but I knew that he was in it. I get the impression he thinks he's better than everyone.
Yeah.
Like the bar is set very high. With Danny, I feel like she's saying out loud things that women actually feel in the real world. I think, at least in my generation, we were brought up to kind of believe no one's going to stay with you if you're too difficult or too much. You got to give in. You've got to be diplomatic. You shouldn't be too much. You're going to scare him off. You'll be overwhelming. You've got too much baggage. It's societal expectations.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult. So I honestly related to her going through feeling that. And I wanted to give her a hug and just say, Danny, it's okay. It's not you. The right person is going to want to be with you no matter what, because they're going to care. And don't don't lock yourself down and not reach out when you need something. And I think personally, I've learned through various friendships that even though you think someone's going to disappear from your life because you're too much or you need too much or you're just too there all the time, that they're the right people that are not going to do that. They're going to love you no matter what, even with your flaws. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like you said, Christian was a little dismissive about her concerns about her sister and the message that she got.
Yeah. There's that self-blame that she already has that he feeds into. It's like, well, if you'd stop responding to her, she just does this to get a rise out of you, and it almost makes it Danny's fault. Where it's just like, well, of course, she's not responding because she knows it gets under your skin, and the more that you feed into it and keep freaking out that she's winning, and it's your fault that this keeps happening, and
yeah, and he keeps he doesn't exactly push back, but what he does say is he doesn't want to break up with her because he doesn't want to regret it later, which made me think he does care about her.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the people he surrounds himself with, the peer pressure. Yeah. They don't have girlfriends. Yeah. They don't have anyone to tie them down. But he navigates between the two worlds, not in the best way possible, really.
Yeah, there's a few of the different things that are wrong. That ties into one of his big flaws that I'll talk about is, the way that he says, oh, I don't want to break up with her because what if I regret it and then I can't get her back? And it's like, well, that's life, mm-hmm. Like that's how things are. And so it ties into, and I'll talk about it way more later, but that's his big thing is just that he doesn't have his own personality.
No.
He bases everything about himself on the people around him or who he's in a relationship with. He's too afraid to be somebody is his biggest thing.
And being on his own would probably do him a world of good to figure out who he is before he's with someone else. Because sometimes when it's like that, if the relationship goes sour, someday you wake up and you're like, well, I'm not with them. Who the hell am I? If everything I was is about my friends and her, if I don't have them, who am I? Like, what am I? Like, they get confused because they just don't. People get confused because they don't know who they are. Sometimes parents will put all of their effort into, like, their kids. And then when their kids move out of the house and go off to college, they're kind of faced with, now what do I do? And I'm not saying that it's bad to do that, because I think family is very important. But that does happen to people where you have to figure out, okay, what do I do outside of that?
Yeah. We get this kind of opening. Danny's freaking out about what's going on. And then it turns out that her fear is justified. We get kind of the first big horror turn here. We learn that, her sister just kind of snapped and in a murder-suicide situation took her life and both of their parents and leaving Danny alone without family. I mean, it's just her, and then she's got Christian to lean on, and she's not even sure that ground isn't shaky. Like, she doesn't even know how solid that is. I will give Christian some credit that he's immediately there for her in the wake of this tragedy, that he just heads straight to her place and holds her and consoles her and is there for her. And then, but you also feel like, even though it's not spelled out, there's something in the back of his head going, well, I can't break up with her now. That's just cruel. So now I'm stuck here even longer. Like, you could tell that those thoughts are still probably going around in his head.
Yeah. Because how do you break up with someone when they're traumatized in front of you? It's like Danny is in this headspace of, like, a post-traumatic stress of not only losing her family, but how they died. She's also prone to anxiety and panic attacks. So she's dealing with a whole host of things. Yeah. And as someone who had a parent that died under natural, like somewhat natural causes, losing a family member is not something that you just automatically get over. It's not something that you're just like snap your fingers and, oh, I'm all better now. It's something that stays with you your whole life. And so looking at this movie through her eyes and what she's going through, it's like her whole cocoon, her family, who she is, her identity is gone. Yeah. That piece of her is not there. And so she's truly, truly alone. Except for Christian.
Yeah. And then he, again, one of his flaws, he's shitty at communication all around, which leads, again, to now that she's going with them to Sweden, but it's shaky ground. Mm-hmm. I feel like she knows that Christian's friends don't like her, but she's just trying to, like, play into this, like, hey, guys, you know. But, you know, the fact that he's going to Sweden at all was completely surprise news to her. She had no idea about it. And then now, on the other foot, it's like he invited her to join, and that's a last-minute surprise to the guys. Like, he's like, by the way, I invited her to come, and it was your idea. You told me I should tell her and go along with it. Okay, thanks. She's here.
Yep.
Like
last-minute reveal to them, and as soon as she even comes in and they talk through just the basis of, yes, she's going to come, the others just leave the room. Like, they're out of the room except for Pelle. They are gone. Like, quickly, Josh and Mark are off, not around.
Josh sits around for a minute, but you can tell he's just kind of... Yeah. Because he's like, oh, you're coming, great. And then he, like, goes to do his own thing. And of course, like, Pelle is the one that really kind of leans in, you know, with her and kind of is the nice one. There, yeah, Mark, he's not even going to try to put that mask on. He's like, I've got to talk to you about this paragraph that I'm working on. Like, you know, he's obviously very anti-Danny out of all of them. He's the one that's constantly trying to get Christian to break up with her.
I think he's jealous, honestly, that Danny has someone that in his life and he doesn't. I think that's part of it. I think it's probably a bro thing where, okay, he's got a cute girlfriend and he's not spending all of his time with the bros, so I don't like that. And their ideas of relationships are kind of weird because in relationships, you have to communicate. And for Christian to not tell her he was going to absolutely go to Sweden in 2 weeks that's not a sign of a healthy relationship. Like, you should not be afraid to tell the person things like that.
It gives credence to when they're sitting at the table way later in Sweden when she is finally getting fed up with, like, where she's just like, I have to say something snarky. Where she's like, after, you know, Simon left, quote unquote, where she just has this little moment where she's like, well, I could totally see you doing that to me, doing something like that. And he's like, what do you mean? And it's like, let's go all the way back to this moment where you are going to leave for Sweden without even letting her know. Like, yeah, of course you would do something like that.
He probably would have told her the day before or on his way to the airport. He probably would have stopped by, or I'm not sure if they lived together. Like, he was at her house or at her apartment. I don't know what the living situation is. He probably would have stopped by, given her a hug and a kiss goodbye, and gone off. Like, I don't think he would have told her anything about it. And so, him not telling her, he should have apologized about that. But somehow, with all of it, it turned around to her apologizing to him.
Never mind, it's like, my fault.
Yep. And that is not healthy either. But that is something that absolutely happens in relationships, where the person who should apologize twists it around. Some people, women or men, manipulate things around so that the person who was wronged ends up apologizing. And that's not okay. And Christian absolutely has flaws. Like, he absolutely does.
Yeah.
I think he walks a thin line in between his two lives with his friends and with her. And he does everything at the last possible second. I think he hopes that things will secretly work out by some fairies behind the, screen that can wave wands and just fix it for him so that he doesn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I think his choice would be never to deal with any of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a coward. Like, truly.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to take any kind of initiative or responsibility for anything. It's just that's his biggest flaw. Yeah, so we've talked Mark and Josh a little bit, but then we meet Pele a little bit more. We see him kind of talking with them at the bar, wherever they're at, the restaurant, and then here. But it's as you mentioned, he's the one that really talks with Danny more, and that he came from this small community, this little village that. This is a big deal. There's these, midsummer festivities that he's bringing his friends to. And he seems very interested and excited at the prospect of Danny actually joining them now. Like, he likes that, which makes me wonder. It's like, I mean, he can't orchestrate that necessarily, but, like, there's something to where, like, he sees something in his favor here, which we'll learn about. We see, but...
We will. We definitely will. I did not see it the first time watching this, but I definitely see it now. The way that he talked to her, it came across as very kind. Like, he was the only person genuinely happy she was coming.
Yeah.
And he seemed friendly to her. And over time, it wasn't that he wore her down. It was just that the way he presented himself was the polar opposite of Christian.
Yeah. And he's kind of preying on her in that way. I feel I didn't pick up on it on first watch either, really, but this time he seems very manipulative.
Yes.
Picking the time and place that he brings up her parents dying. Well, my parents died too. And it's trying to, like, bond, but he's trying to, like, show, like you said, that there's a lot of things that he says or does where it's like, see, here's the things that are bothering you. Here's the things that you don't like. But here's the exact opposite. Here's the alternative. Here's what you really deserve. Here's what you...
He chooses the time, to bring up these things, like you said. There's a conversation they have later that he brings up these questions to Danny at a crucial time to get her thinking about Christian in a certain way. The
do you feel held, which is pivotal to this movie. Mm-hmm. And we'll get there when we get to those points, but...
When they first arrive, first of all, I want to know if they just left I thought maybe they left the car in the middle of the road.
I know, I was kind of bothered by that. I was like, is that where you park? No, you pull off into the grass a little bit. That's a small road. Other people might have to drive through there. What are you doing?
Yeah, no.
Where are the other cars from all these other people?
I wondered about that. It was like a magical thing because there were other people. It wasn't just the four of them plus Connie and Simon. There were additional people who had come in, at least for the first day that we saw.
Yeah. I will say before they get over to Sweden, though, I had to point out, we talked the cinematography stuff, whatever, the transition shot where, where the parent thing comes up and Danny gets upset by that and walks into the bathroom in Christian's apartment or wherever they're at. And then immediately she walks in there and that overhead shot that flips right into it becoming the plain lavatory. Fantastic editing.
It was fantastic.
I love that shot. I was like, it is such a great way to push the story forward. We need to just skip ahead to they're on their way there now. We don't need to continue, circling. But it's an artistic shot that's used to and now we're in the future. And I just thought that was very cool.
I liked it as well. I like those things. Like I said earlier, there are things Ari Aster does very, very well when it comes to creation of movies. And the music and cinematography are two of those things. Effects is another thing. And not just actual effects in the sense that we normally talk about them. It's scenes and dialogue and the way that things are conveyed. It's those effects. How it comes across, those also count for something as well. Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed when they did get there were mushrooms that they were going to do. And this is where you see the peer pressure come across. And it wasn't just to Danny, although she was the main person that was like, no, she really didn't want to do them. Christian said, no, I'm going to do this with you. And that, again, I was like, why did I hate him so much when I watched this movie the first time? Is it because he's a jerk sometimes? I don't know. But I kept getting alienated with him. This time I sided with him where he's like, no, we'll do them together, until his friends pressure Danny to do it so they can all be on the trip together.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want to be tripping at different times.
Yeah. We see, Mark specifically, you're just like, God, this guy's such a whiner. I thought it's, it's like, how far do we have to go? It's like, it's a 4-hour drive. And he goes, oh my God. I was like, calm down, Mark.
Are you 12?
4-hour drive is nothing. I'm doing that next week for fun. And coming back the same night. So that's 8 hours of driving in a day. And you don't see me complaining about it. In fact, I'm looking forward to it. That's plenty of time for me to listen to some albums I've been wanting to jam. So,
You make it a game when you're in the car and you don't, you just put music on and just sing along and just get time to yourself.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else except drive. So it's honestly time to give your brain a break from constant stimulation of TV and phones.
And then, you mentioned also before, on their way there, that upside down shot as they're entering Halsingland. It's like they've entered a whole new world. Like everything is different than what they first expect. It's a great way of showing that as well. Yeah,
it really was like they were in Oz. It's like they followed the yellow brick road and here we are.
Yeah.
It's just a different place.
And then, like the staging area where... So Pele's not the only one. Like there's others from the community that were sent out and have brought people back. We get Ingmar, his brother, but again, as we learn more from Pele, like his parents died when he was young, and then this whole community is kind of his family. So his brother and his sister are just people that are similar in age to him that he was raised alongside and grew up with in this community. They're all kind of a family together, which ties into what he says to Danny later about like, no, it's all a family. You have somebody who's there for you, can hold you. So that's where he's coming from. But yeah, the mushrooms. Mark's even more disagreeable when he's tripping on shrooms. He somehow doesn't mellow out. He gets worse. He's so offended by the thought of it staying daylight for, into the late hours. I don't like that. No, that's wrong. That's bad. Everybody lay down. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
He's very bossy, especially when he's on shrooms. He's incredibly bossy. It's an overnight experience, this trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's typically the case with mushrooms and things. It's hours sometimes for things.
Okay.
That's pretty usual. Her trip much worse. It was going very beautifully until the word family came up, and then that sent her spiraling into a pretty dark place.
It did. Also, I felt just as lost as she was with all the Swedish that was being spoken, and because it wasn't translated on the screen, they didn't do any of it, like in the captioning. So I felt lost. Like, I didn't know what they were saying.
At least not at this point. They do later, but at this point they did.
But not now. It's kind of, I think that was the point, was to keep people in the dark.
Yeah, where she just has this idea of they're all looking at me, they're laughing at me, because she doesn't know what they're talking about, and she's just very alone. But yeah, sleeps it off eventually, and next day they finish their little hike to where they're going. It's quite a beautiful entrance into the village. It's a big old structure for them to walk through. There's music being played, people attending to them, kids running around handing them things. It's a very nice little, like, okay, this is a warm welcome.
Yeah, not as warm as the later times.
Yeah, and I'm watching a lot of this like early like setting up for this stuff where they're like walking around and meeting people and seeing, the things that are going on and like the pre-ceremony rituals and things. And I was like, honestly, I would love to attend something like this without the whole ritual sacrifice and stuff.
Yes. And mmurder, yeah.
But like
yeah.
a normal celebration of nature and community looks very peaceful and joyful. I'm like, I would, because I do know of people that, yeah, do travel to Europe to do these like midsummer festivals and stuff. And it's like, that would be really cool. Just don't go to one that's in an isolated community village that nobody knows about. Make sure it's a good public place.
Yeah. But I mean, why would you be scared when there are community members, but there are also a lot of other people. There were other people there, not like hundreds or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but there were like more people that were brought into this that are not there the next day.
Yeah.
Or at least 2 days later, they're gone. And I don't know where they ended up. Because I rewound it a couple of times because I'm like, I know there were other people there, but they were not there when we did the cliff diving. So I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we see like the midsummer thing is like every year. So there's like certain parts of the ceremonies and stuff that are every year. The May Queen seems to be like an every year thing, and even maybe the Ata Stupa, maybe, but like certain things. But as far as like the 9 sacrifices that we get at the end of this and like bringing outsiders in and all that, that's not an every year occurrence. We do hear that she says something about this is a specific special celebration and these rituals are every 90 years. So it's like, as Pele even says, a once in a lifetime experience.
Oh yeah, once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
If you're one of the people sacrificed, it's definitely once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And he said he thought that they would appreciate coming and being part of something that was once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that your once in a lifetime thing matches up with what everyone else's once in a lifetime thing is. I think that they probably thought they would not die on this adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Mark just wanted to get laid. That was all he was thinking about.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, we've talked a lot about Danny, but I have a note here that said, just again, picking up, we see the way that she's, reacting and interacting with people is that she's just quick to blame herself for anything. Nothing is somebody else's fault. She should have reminded them of something, because it comes from like it's my birthday. And she's talking to Pele about that. And it's just like, wait, Christian doesn't remember that it's your birthday. And she's like, I didn't remind him. Like, well, that's not necessarily your job, but it's still, I should have said something. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have reacted this way. Like, everything is what she did or didn't do, and nobody else is at blame.
It's a mindset that you have, and it's very hard to get out of because you do. It's the way that, some women, that's how they think. That's what they see, and that's what they understand is if I take the blame, then it will smooth things over. Mm-hmm. It's if I don't make it their fault, and I make it my fault instead, then they won't be mad at me. And you're so afraid of making someone mad at you because you think they'll leave. Because she's afraid. All she has left is Christian.
Yeah.
She's lost everything else. And so she's so afraid of losing him at this point that she's trying to twist herself into a pretzel, basically. Mm-hmm. And still deal with the residual, trauma of losing her family the way that they died.
Yeah. And so that is really pinpointing a lot of those traits about her. Helps the arc of this movie, and especially her character arc, land a lot better. Because you realize, as traumatic and horrific as a lot of this thing is, this experience gives her a power and sense of herself mattering that she's never had before.
Yeah. The way that they continually welcome her the way she is, mm-hmm. and don't expect her to be anyone else other than who she is. They just accept her, and she's brought into different things throughout this movie. Like baking bread, the meat pies, and mm-hmm. the dancing, and all of those things. It gives her that sense of family that's part of a community.
Yeah. And
it's a different type of family than what she's used to, but it makes her not feel like she's all alone.
Mm-hmm. And I like that there's a lot of little things that are questionable at first. Absolutely. But they just seem like strange cultural stuff that you can easily ignore. you know, when they're getting kind of looking around, it's like, yeah, the forbidden temple-like building. It's like, that should be kind of a red flag, but you're like, no, it's cultural observed. There's a bear in a cage. Why aren't we going to mention that? It's just a bear. Okay, and then we never see it again until the end of the movie. It's like, oh yeah, the bear. They focus so hard on this tapestry of a girl using her pubic hair to psychically attract a husband. You know, that kind of stuff. Just kind of normal things.
Those tapestries as a whole were so well well done. And so many Easter eggs and foreshadowings were part of that. There's one particular piece on one of the tapestries that basically looks like Pele is like a Pied Piper bringing his friends in for the slaughter.
Yeah.
It's amazing. If you slow down and actually look at some of the things, it tells you a lot about what's coming.
Yeah. A lot of it's in the building that they're sleeping in, all the paintings and tapestries in there, which is, it was gorgeous building. I was like, oh, this is very well done. It's nice. And we just get a little more like, explanation of different things. We're talking about like, this is the place that the kids and even young adults, all the way up till 36, sleep in here. And then I always want to say Cheaty, and it's like, nope, he's Josh here. But Josh has that question, like, why till like 36 seems like such a random age to like stay in the kids building, you know? And so we have that, like, well, these villagers here, like, they live their life in seasons. Mm-hmm. And winter ends at 72, and we get Danny's like, well, what happens at 72? And Pele just makes that like kind of throat cutting, you know, gesture, like, when we kill him. And then, you know, they laugh about it and move on. And it's like, if only she knew he wasn't joking. I know it seemed that way, but he wasn't kidding.
But they don't look at it that way. They don't look at it like it's killing. They look at it like it's a self-sacrifice for whatever good and belief that they have.
Yeah.
The whole season thing is interesting. Later on, we learn, too, that because there are discussions about mating and incest and making sure that bloodlines are not mixing and that with children, because sometimes when it does happen, the children are born with deformities.
And that's another, Ari Aster loves his like disfigurement stuff and some like there's some stuff like that. But yeah, because we get Christian asking one of the guys there in the village about this, and we get those answers that he's like, because again, foreshadowing, it says, well, we'll bring people from outside in that we can approve as mates, and then he becomes that later. But yeah, it's like, well, all mating pairs have to be approved by the elders, and it's very important kind of thing. But then even when asked about the incest and stuff, it's like, well, no, we take good care to not do that. But then later when Josh is talking to one of the elders and we meet Reuben, the oracle, and it's like, well, unless they specifically need to incestually breed, then they do it on purpose because there is also a cult pagan ritual reason for them to do it.
Yep. It's not outside the realm of what I've seen in some other movies as far as mating rituals. But they do talk about like couples, like having relationships, and those have to be approved, like different pieces of how things work in this world. But the seasonal age brackets, that was really interesting.
Yeah.
To me.
Just by like 18-year increments.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get awkward little birthday song. Can't get the candle. He had the candle there like halfway, and then he blew it out by trying to do it again. I just let it. He's trying.
You know, he is trying, and there were moments where he was affectionate to her. The way that he would touch her, reminding you that they are in a relationship, as strained and difficult as it may look. He does care about her, and I honestly, watching this movie, he cared about her more than I thought, because of the way that he was just touching her and interacting with her. However, Pele is very effective as someone who is purposely driving a wedge. I don't think not only between them, but in the group themselves, like,
yeah,
with the thesis discussion and who's gonna cover or who's gonna get to write about this experience between Josh and Christian. Like, there's some real, like, disagreement in the group.
Yeah. I did not go into this thinking I was going to be writing the word atestupa so many times in my notes, but I did.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But that is, of course, this ritual of sacrificial self-genocide.
Yes.
Which, looking into it a little bit, because there's that moment where, like, Christian is Googling it and then he doesn't have any internet service, so he can't figure out what it is. So I just Googled it myself. I was like, what would have come up? And then, of course, it leads to, like, looking at, like, a lot of Norse mythology and stuff where, you know, Ari Aster looked into a lot of that stuff. Now, when I looked into it, just even on a base level, a lot of it is mythological. I feel like it seems that, like, there's no actual concrete evidence that there were peoples that did this specifically the way that it was done. That was more of a story told by the Christians to be like, you can't, they're bad people, they're barbaric, this is the kind of stuff they do, where when you really look at it, it's like they just made that up. But
yeah,
because in a lot of those, like, Norse like kind of ancient places, elders are highly esteemed and wouldn't be treated that way. But you know, you got to use what does exist in mythology, and they're like, well, what if this specific little sect, this cult, this place did do it that way? So, you know, we have that. Which you can tell Josh knows what that means just when Pele says the word Atestupa. He's like, really? Because then when Christian's trying to figure out what it is, and he's like, it's hard to explain. And then he's looking at Josh, and Josh has got this kind of grin on his face, and he's like, you know what it is? And he's like, yeah. Which, yeah, he's done a lot of research. This is his thesis and his work, like, is these, like, ancient pagan and Norse and what's the other word? Kind of, I'm looking, but, you know, that area, you know, where some of these old traditions, that's what he's looking into. So he's familiar with that term. He's probably assuming it's symbolic and it's not going to literally be elders flinging themselves off of a cliff. He was not ready for that. But so you can see he's kind of excited because he's like, well, I know what that means, but how are they going to do it? He's almost excited. He's like, I'm excited to see what symbolic things they do tomorrow.
He should have given some synopsis of it to Christian, because the last thing that Danny needed to be witnessing, symbolic or not, was anything to do with Atastupa.
Yeah. And then, they have the meal before, which always leave it to Mark to make some kind of insensitive or stupid statement at any given time. This is like, you know, it's like, do they know they're walking stupid? Like, you don't have to say every single douchey thing that passes through your mind, but he does.
No, he has no filter. There's nothing there to stop the ridiculousness from coming out of his mouth at any given time.
God, they're taking so long with the food that they're almost trying to make it gross. Like, what, you know, it's just like, you don't have to say everything. Just shut up sometimes, maybe.
He's so disrespectful for the experience that they're on. He's not appreciative whatsoever. I'm like, Pele, why did you pick him? Is it because he's such an asshole? Yes, agreed. But he picked him not just because he's a fool. He's an asshole. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand. You probably thought this guy's too stupid to live. We need to get rid of him. I'm going to take him here. He's the fool. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we get the meal before. Again, at the stupa, how many times am I going to write this word? I was like, man, I didn't expect to write it this many times in my notes. The final meal of the elders. And even when they come in and Josh is like, oh, that's them. Like, again, he knows some of what's going on. I love that the tables were all placed and set in like a runic shape. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
That was on purpose. everything in this movie was done the way it was on purpose.
But like you say, like this is to honor them. It's all for them. Everyone waits. They stand until they show up, and then they sit, then the others can sit. They start eating, then the other people can start eating.
Mm-hmm.
They're finished eating, the other people are finished eating. Like it's all in time. It's very honorable to them, which is cool. And then I guess that was the dinner before. That was the night before. Again, because of the way that night and day kind of all blend together, it's hard to follow the timeline sometime. But it seems like it's the next day, the next mornings when they actually go out, because Mark isn't there, and he even mentions, out of all the things you let me sleep through. And it's like, thank God you weren't there, because you would have said some really heinous, off-color, disrespectful shit.
You would have.
So I'm glad you weren't. But yeah, that main Stupa scene, huge pivotal point. Even the first time I saw this in theaters, I could recognize how pivotal that the scene is. It's an hour into the movie. But it's the first, like, it's not the first sense of horror, because I talked about, obviously the sister and parents' death, but it's the first really big sense of folk horror and what we're getting into here. Yeah. Because it is revealed in that moment that the ancient rituals are, in fact, being followed precisely. And so then they're like, so for somebody like Josh, you're like, well, now, depending on which rituals that this village partakes in, anything can actually happen now. And our little band of stupid Americans and the British couple, are fully in it. It's real. And that's where that coin flips there. And you're like, oh, we're in this now.
And the way that was shot, I call it the cliff diving, the Atastupa, it was so impactful, just visually. And sound-wise. I mean, it really was impactful. Honestly, I don't know how Danny didn't lose it completely, because Connie was losing it. Yeah. And Simon was freaking out.
The way that I read into that was the way that you see Danny is she keeps it mostly internal at first. Unlike Simon, they said, who absolutely flips out immediately, it's shock. It's so shocking that it just shuts her down and she cannot react for a while. And she just lost both of her parents prematurely. And so viewing this ritual of older adults dying before their time, in this community, it's their time. They're 72.
Yeah.
But it's like before, because they're not frail, they're not sick, but it's purposely making sure that they go out before they get to that point, so that they don't become a burden, so that they don't bring the community down in any way, that they've lived their life, they've done their cycle. Before they become a burden, it's time to move out of the way and let the next generation come up.
Yep. And we see the next generation by seeing this baby that is unnamed but cries all the time. Yeah. Like, crying all the time. At night, living in with all these other people in that big building. This year in particular was special for them because they could, by doing this, be part of the 90-year celebration or the 90-year ritual that they were doing. Because they were part of the sacrifice of the people that were sacrificed. But they don't act freaked out about having made this decision. It really appears to be like this is just a part of life in this place.
They get to honor their community by doing this.
Yeah. And so that's how they look at it. That's how everyone other than the outsiders look at it. And Ylva goes first, followed by Dan, who is the man that doesn't quite finish the job when he lands. And so not only are they witnessing him leaping to his death, they are watching for people with a mallet put him out of his misery, destroying his face, basically.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They're carried. Like, they don't just walk to this high place. They're carried on these... I don't know what they call them, but they're basically carried.
Yeah.
It's something MJF would come in on for a pay-per-view and has come in before on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, just these like little thrones. They're in a place of being honored in this moment.
Yeah.
And it's a lot for everybody, but they're kind of, then when they go back to the main village and they're all trying to compose themselves and process what's just happened. Josh, again, is somebody who focuses and studies and all of this stuff. Like, he seems to get back into the knack pretty easily. He's like, well, I didn't really think they were going to do it, but you see him. And then even after he talks with Christian tries with Danny a little bit, like, well, it's a different culture, so maybe we just try to be open-minded. And, where it's just like, we think it's barbaric. I did like Christian says where he's like, we take our elders and stick them into nursing homes and stuff. And it's like, they probably look at that as barbaric. So it's like, I mean, yeah, it has a point sometimes,
One of the women, I think her name was Sieve, explains that this is the end of the Horga life cycle and it's a joyous thing.
Yeah.
And that the new baby is a girl and will take Ilva's name.
Mm-hmm.
And the cycle continues.
Yeah.
And Danny is, trying to process.
Then Christian goes to Josh and tells him, I'm going to do my thesis on here too. And Josh is not having it. And so again, this is kind of what I kept talking about with Christian's major flaw. I understand Josh's frustration. He's like, no, this is my real passion and my life's work, or at least my school life's work. All of my professional and, this is what I'm doing. And then you just kind of came in here and leached onto it. And that was really pointing out that's Christian's personality. That's his flaw. Even his rocky relationship with Danny is fueled by Mark and his friends telling him how he should feel about things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's just going to keep going. She's so clingy. Everything that he feels about Danny is because that's how his friends told him to feel. Everything that he thinks he should be doing is because that's what his friends are doing, what other people are doing. He doesn't think or take action for himself. He's a follower and he's a clinger. He's clingy.
Mm-hmm.
In his own way, he has no real personal ambition for himself. He's just a shadow, just latching on and following behind those around him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said earlier, I think he would have benefited from being on his own for a while without a girlfriend, without his friends, experiencing new things and meeting new people so that he was not just surrounded by these few guys who have a shitty attitude. Yeah. It would have really helped him. And then Danny, with all of her issues that she's going through, I feel for her. I feel for her.
Yeah.
I feel like he did the best he could.
Yeah.
Given his flaws, he did the best that he could.
Mm-hmm. He just unfortunately they just were not a good fit.
Mm-mm.
At the end of the day, they really weren't. And so it's hard to, like, again, when you say, like, is there like a villain or is it like, it's tragic ending in a way, but you're like, to look at the story for Danny, you're like, it's bittersweet in a way. It's good and bad. Like, she goes through some horrific things and some terrible things happen, but it's also, she finds this sense of belonging and family and self-importance and reliance that she's never had before. Mm-hmm. And so, like, it's almost a good thing, but then it's like, is it empowering? Yes. Is it also manipulative? Yes. Pele knows her personality and knows that he can kind of pull those strings on her.
Yes.
To lead things to where they need to go. And so it's kind of both. She's manipulated, but it's hard to also feel bad about that because it ends up putting her in a place that is empowering for her.
Yeah, she's definitely accepted. She's not feeling as alone. She has people around her that have pulled her in and not just said, oh, you're here, you want to do this, but been like, why don't you come and do this? Why don't you come and just embracing her and pulling her in and encouraging her and supporting her. She didn't, I don't think she had that with her family. It seems like she was so much worrying about her sister and worrying about the situations and never really having a life outside of the anxiety. And so in the end, she was gonna have a life outside the anxiety. Like, she was not gonna have to worry about things because it's very simple there. They follow traditions, they follow rituals. Life is very simple in this place.
Yeah. And it's, so we see why Pele is so deeply loyal to this place. Again, we get his backstory of him as a kid and being taken in, and then using that to kind of manipulate, weaseling in on Danny. I mean, we see, like, he kisses her after she wins May Queen, so it's like, we can assume even after this movie ends that, like, they might end up together, and Pele kind of puts himself in that position, and he knows firsthand Christian's not good for her. And he's not wrong, the things that he says, do you feel held by him? Do you have... But then to use his past to then kind of manipulate things to tell her, well, you deserve better, when clearly what he means by better is you deserve me. It's a little scummy.
Mm-hmm. Especially because he knows her, but he also knows Christian, and he knows how to counteract every single thing that Christian does. Even when Christian is being supportive, it's not enough. Yes. Because she's seeing more and more over time. She sees what Pele is like and how he's there. He gave her the picture for her birthday. He wants to comfort her while she's processing through everything from the Atastepa. And he asks her all the important questions.
Yeah.
And she's not really used to people asking her questions, like wondering about what about me? Like, what about what I need? No one is like that, really. Like, she feels like she's intruding on her own boyfriend's life, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, and then when she has their dream that, like, next night is very disturbing, where she has this dream that everybody gets up and leaves her behind, and then when she tries to, like, yell for them in this black smoke, that's kind of the, what happened with her parents and all this. But it comes from, she just feels alone, this fear that everyone's going to leave me. You see this disconnect growing with Christian, that she's a burden, that, like, they will happily just leave her behind. And so that keeps weighing on her too.
And that was her biggest fear, is that they were going to do that. And I don't think at that point he would have left her behind. I don't think he would have left her behind. I don't. I can tell you that with Connie and Simon absolutely would not have left her behind. Never. Not in any way. We did not get to see into their relationship that much, but what we saw, especially in the reaction of the Atastepa, he would not have left her.
Yeah. And so that's just but that's one of those things that drives that wedge even worse, because now we have Danny going, well, I thought that Simon would never do that to Connie, but he did. So if he's capable of it, then Christian obviously is. Mm-hmm. And so it just continues building that fear. I could talk about some of the sound, because it happened with the Atastupa and, like, the with the hammer and stuff like that. But even it's the way that songs and chants from the people cut into immediate silence, and they do, like, the silent jazz hands. But you know, but there's, like, because you hear them all and chanting, and then they, like, crack this, like, wooden structure, and as soon as they hit it, it just goes dead silent, and it's so unsettling. But there's a lot of things like that where it's a lot of sounds, or even, when Dan, the old man, jumps wrong and lands feet first and breaks both his legs, and he's still alive, and they're all wailing and screaming and, oh no, that's so terrible. And you hear all this wailing and moaning and groaning, and as soon as that hammer hits his head, silence.
They're imitating whatever sound is happening, I feel like. Like, later on when she's grieving after seeing Christian with Maya, the women just surround her and they're grieving with her. She's never had that. Yeah. Like, this is new to her. It's
this community that are so ingrained with each other. We feel the things you feel. We go through these things with you. You are part of us. We are part of you. You belong.
Right.
We are family, more than family. It's one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so these are all little things that throughout the movie you just see them building on with the sound, with the reactions, with whatever happens. Even the sex scene later with Christian and Maya, there's reaction.
Yes,
and
I said it's the most musical sex I've ever seen or heard.
Oh, God. Well, there's another term for it, but I'll when we get there, I'll talk about it. There's something that I took from this.
Back with Josh, he's told he's allowed to write his thesis on this, but he can't use the exact location or names. It's for privacy and protection. Although at this point, like, Pele's just giving him what he wants and expects, because it's like, were they ever going to actually allow him to leave?
No.
No.
They were never going to leave. They were never going to leave. This was what was given.
That's why they were brought here.
This was, yeah.
Pele even said, well, you have to collaborate with Christian.
Just like Sergeant Howie.
Yeah. But he's like, you have to collaborate with Christian to do it. And it's like, well, why would he tell him that? No. Again, you're like kind of putting that wedge between them. But also, I could also think he's like, he probably just wants to get ahead of it early and like, I'm just going to make you stop arguing about it and tell them that, like, if you're going to do it, you have to work with him. So I don't have to hear you two bicker about it anymore. But they do continue because they get, tense with each other about stuff. Yeah, Mark pissing on the ancestral tree of the dead. It's a perfect metaphor for the fact that, yeah, he's incapable of caring about anyone or anything other than himself. He's fully just disrespectful and selfish in every way. Because even if you don't know when somebody stops you, but then it's his reaction. He's like, well, it's a dead tree, so like, why does it matter? Like,
he had seen them doing things. I mean, it was so apparent. Everything they do is ritualistic.
Mm-hmm.
And the bodies, things had burned. There were ashes. The ashes were put on the ceremonial. Like, there was just a purpose to everything. And he just disrespected and disregarded everything. And Will Poulter crushed it in this part, being the asshole. Like, he absolutely just crushed it.
Yes. We talked a little bit. Yeah, Connie, she's told that Simon left without her, but then someone's going to come back for her. And it's like obvious that it's bullshit. She's like, he would have said something. Why would I could have sat with him. And like you see here, this like elder, this guy that's telling her kind of on the fly, trying to make up excuses. He's like, I could have sat in his lap. Well, we follow traffic laws here. Like, he's just trying to like, just buy the story.
Yeah.
But like everybody, the whole village keeps up that facade, because then Danny's talking to the ladies when she's going in and making the like meat pies later. And, the idea of Simon and Connie comes up and they're like, oh yeah, he left a little early and then somebody's going to come back for her. Did you not get to say goodbye? Like everybody keeps up the appearances. Yeah. They have their story. They stick to it.
It's all part of the ritual. Yeah. It's all part of what's ingrained to ward off evil from their land, basically, from their community. And so they're just all following the script. They had time to prepare. It's been ingrained in all of them.
Yeah. And they probably assume that like people are going to try to leave early that can't make it through that first part. And then it's like, well, you're not actually allowed to leave, not alive, not on your terms. So,
no.
So they just kind of have a way of taking care of Simon and Connie off screen. Although I think you can kind of faintly hear Connie screaming in the background, while Mark is like checking out, like while they're setting up the like temple for the final burn. And like the girl that he's been crushing on is like walking in and out and he's focused on her. You can hear this like scream in the background.
Yes.
And I think it's Connie.
Absolutely. Yeah. They had to take her out. They were not going to let her leave. No one goes back to the real world after this. Unless they trust you. I think the kids, meaning the younger generation, who went off into the real world to bring people in, they knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah. Like they understood.
That's what we see, because like Ingmar or whatever like comes in, like he's one of the sacrifices. And if I remember, it's like because he brought people back. So like you went out into the outside world, you got to experience it for several years, go to college, meet people, you brought them back, and then you are now part of the sacrifice, though. Like, you experience the outside world, you're different from this. Pele being the only exception, it seems, because the person he brought ended up becoming the May Queen, and they hold that at a higher standard. And so it's like, I wonder if that was like a long game he was playing the whole time, and he kind of tried to spare. Yeah. He spared himself, like he had his own selfish ambitions going on.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he knew. And then I think things were cleverly manipulated right up to who got to be the Mayday Queen and who got sacrificed in the bear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed, we get, and again, it was second watch, so I knew it was coming, but still, when they're at the, like, dinner where Christian has his snack, it's got a little extra something in it. But then also, and I don't remember, because I feel like it was pointed out when I saw it the first time in theaters, and I might have just missed it on this watch.
I didn't remember it.
That, like,
the blood punch?
Yeah, that his drink is it's markedly darker than all the others, and it's like, does nobody notice that? Because it does stand out. And there's a reason for that. It's also kind of that area that...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh God, knowing it's coming, seeing it. And I was like, you can tell that it's darker than everybody else's. What are we doing here? Why is nobody noticing it? But yeah, that dinner in itself, there's just a lot of tension. That's when Danny, as I mentioned before, calls out Christian for being the kind of person that might leave without her. And you have Josh and Christian still at odds with the thesis thing. Mark's getting death stares from the guy who caught him peeing on the tree. And everything just there's a heaviness in the air around them now.
Yeah. You know that it's going to get real. What we've seen so far is terrifying, but there's more coming. You can just tell that more is coming, and you just have to watch it unfold. And then Mark goes off with Inga to wherever. He's
been crushing on her that whole time, so she's the perfect one to come and get him and lead him to his doom, whatever happens to him specifically. And yeah, it just kind of goes pretty quick after that, because Josh, and again, I think it's that, like, we have to split with Christian, so now he's like, well, I have to be the first one to get answers, so he starts, getting selfish with things. So, I mean, he was told absolutely not to taking pictures of the Oracle's book. So, I don't know, he goes in there to do it. So, I don't know, getting hit in the head with a big hammer while being distracted by somebody with pants off and wearing your dead best friend's face as a mask. That seems like the correct punishment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then we get the May Queen dance, which, again, they have the tea, the hallucinogenic tea that they take. I was like, man, so it's funny that you mentioned him earlier, because now I haven't noticed it. Sergeant Howie would be so mad at this village. Drugs and dancing? Look at all these little kids running around. Why is no one telling them about Jesus?
Exactly. I mean, Sergeant Howie would have had a fit about this. Can you imagine? Although they might have answered his questions, knowing he wasn't going to leave. They might have just answered all of his questions. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Also, speaking of, like, the hallucinations and from the drugs, a lot of Danny's hallucinations are the grass growing into her and like, it's like she's being rooted into this place. She's part of its nature. They are one. She belongs here. That's all that's being ingrained in her this whole time.
Absolutely. And she, as you said, becomes the May Queen. It's
a drug-induced last one dancing competition. That's really what it is.
It is. And she wins. It is this crazy, I mean, it is a crazy dance-off, really. Mm-hmm. They're going backwards and forwards and around and reverse and all of these things, and the overhead shot, like, it's all really... Yeah, it's very well choreographed. The way they shot it was cool too, with things going in a circle behind where it. Yeah. You have to watch that video because it's really cool. I watched it today.
May Queen Danny, white girl wasted dancing her way to legend.
And they were all so happy. Like, the community is just thrilled that it's her.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when Pele kisses her. And it's not just like a kiss from a friend.
Yeah.
It's a kiss. Like, it means something.
Yeah. And it's, again, after she wins, even there's like a little effect of the flowers on her crown and on her throne that she sits on at dinner, all like breathing. Yeah. And it's like, again, it's just like, it's that nice touch. Like, yeah, she's tripping still, but also like she's one with the nature of this place again. Like, it's all working in tandem with her. She's breathing, it's breathing. Meanwhile, yeah, we have Christian who, we did have him talking to that guy, and he was told, outsiders are brought in and then approved as mates for people of the village. And we've been learning through some interesting rituals that Maya is interested in him, and he's been approved.
I don't think he knows quite what to do with it at first. I think he's kind of like, okay, she is beautiful, and I think she's young.
She seems too young. I was like...
She is!
Yeah.
Because they said this word earlier when they were describing, it's called Bixmyndig, and it's basically when they get a pants license, or it's the age of consent. Well, the age of consent in Sweden is 15.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was young.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah. Yeah, he said he didn't want to take the tea because he didn't want to have a bad trip, and then he takes it anyway. And I was like, well, about that, because you can even see after like Danny wins the May Queen thing, it's like he doesn't look like he's doing so good right now.
No, he's not feeling good at all.
A lot of his own anxieties and stuff that are just compounding with what he's tripping on, and which then so when you see the scene where they take him to Maya. Where he's like, well, you said I was chosen to be a mate. I didn't realize you meant literally mating right now. Go. I was like, damn. But he goes along with it. Again, not, I give him not, but some grace. It's like, to be fair,
he's drugged.
He's very heavily drugged and easy to just kind of convince him and like push him in a direction. And he's very easily manipulated right now.
There is a term for it. It's usually people look at women being raped by men.
But that's absolutely what it was.
Realistically, that is what happened to him here.
Yeah.
And because Danny sees this, again, it was manipulated. This was all set for her to do, to make the decision that she made. He never got the chance to say anything to her.
No.
About this, because he was after this weird high sex experience that he had with Maya. He runs out. He's completely freaked out, and he's drugged again. Yeah. And this time, he can't talk or move or anything. He just sits there with this expression on his face. And Jack Rayner, what he conveys in Christian's moments like this was, we talk on The Handmaid's Tale about June face because Elizabeth Moss has this way of just looking at the camera and you know exactly what's going on. This was, the terror of it. And the resolution, or him understanding that it's over. And he never, ever got to explain anything to her.
Yeah.
He didn't get to tell her. Hold on. They haven't eaten. No, that's why they're freaking out. I forgot. He never got to talk to her and say, I was drugged. Or I'm sorry, or anything. He got to say nothing. Nothing. He got no resolution. And I'm not saying what he did was right, but I'm also saying what they did to him was not right.
Yeah.
And that's... I took different things away from this time watching the movie. that I didn't take the first time I watched it. This time I felt a little bad for him because even though he wasn't perfect, he was flawed. Everybody was flawed. And I felt like he got a shitty deal in this situation.
Absolutely. But again, it's like, this like manipulation and putting pieces where they need to go. Because, she, her celebratory carriage ride ends and she's got a bad feeling about all the musical moaning going on. So she has to investigate. And obviously she's like very upset by what she finds. But again, it's just that bringing her in, she's immediately comforted and held. And as Pele had told her, there's family to hold you. Do you feel held? And here she is, these women echoing and sharing her pain and her sorrow. They're doing it with her. They hold her through it. It's solidifying her place in this family. To where, she's left with a choice, and it's like the family of people here or this guy who just wronged you. Yeah.
And they don't show you her choice. What you see is him being put in the bear costume.
Yeah.
Or not the bear costume, but the bear skin.
When the village is asked, the man or the bear, they say yes, both, together, on fire.
Absolutely. Yep. Steve explains the ritual by explaining that it's 4 outsiders, which we learn were Connie, Simon, Mark, and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 from the village, which Ulf and Ingwen are the 2 that volunteer. Ingvar.
Mm-hmm. They brought people in or whatever, so like that's their volunteering.
And then Dan and Ilva are also counted in that. And then the final piece of the puzzle is 1 person from outside, 1 person from the village that's drawn bingo style or whatever. I just picture a Saul Goodman saying it out from Better Call Saul. Yeah. And the May Queen is given the opportunity or the terrible task of picking which one will die.
Yeah. And since the last time she saw him, he was fucking the young red-haired girl. It's just like, choice is a little easier for her. It must be. Just a little bit. And, they've been drifting apart for a little while anyway, so.
Yeah.
But, she was too scared to be without him, but she's not alone now. Mm-hmm. She has a family. She belongs.
Yeah.
She feels held.
Well, on Christian's little runabout, he starts to see the more sinister side of everything because he runs into the chicken coop as one of his places he's running around to, and he sees Simon's body hanging, and he basically has had the blood eagle performed on him, which is something I saw on Vikings. I knew right away what it was when he was hanging there. It's like, oh, Jesus, I saw this. It's not pretty. I'm glad we were spared the act of them doing it because it's not pretty. It's just terrifying.
Yeah. Mark is the stuffed up fool. It's very fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. They're all stuffed like scarecrows. The others, all of them really are like, their bottom half is mostly gone, and it's just like their skin is stuffed with straw. Like they're scarecrows.
Where we end with it, sacrifices are made. May the grounds be blessed for harvest and seasons to come.
I mean, you knew that Christian was not good for Danny, but I don't know, this time watching it made me feel worse for him than I did the first time around, and I did not like Pele because I just watched the manipulation arc through the entire thing, where the first time through it looked like he was being this kind person. That's not what it looked like this time. It definitely looked really sus and sinister.
So I think we've mostly covered everything. Like, I think we're about done. So my question for you...
Oh, Jesus.
is because I know how much you've said you really didn't like this movie so much, and yet through the last hour and 40 minutes of us talking about it, I haven't really heard any negativity about the movie from you whatsoever. So what is it?
I did tell you that I was trying to find the positive in this movie. Like, I was looking for things to like, and that was like the note I put at the very top of my document was, try to find the things that you like. I'm not going to say that I like this movie or that I'm going to watch it again, because I probably won't. But I hate it less. There were things that I liked. I related to Danny more than I've probably said on this podcast, because I actually relate to some of the things that I relate to her anxiety. I relate to some of the ways she thinks. I relate to some of her thoughts and the way that she looked at things. I totally relate to so much of it. And I like Florence Pugh. I know you guys listen to Buffalo, then you think that I don't like her, but I do like her. I think she's fantastic, and I think she crushed it in this role, in this way of showing us a character who's been through so much trauma and finds community at a cost. I don't hate this movie. It's just not my favorite. I mean, the degrees of, I look at it much more favorably than I did before.
Yeah.
But that happens, Pake, because when we talk about a movie and break it down.
Yeah. Oh,
it's me processing through.
Yeah. I could get that just from this whole conversation, because it was a very, good, long, in-depth conversation where you really dug into a lot of themes and understood a lot of things. So I was like, she doesn't hate this movie. Like, there's a lot of great stuff to talk about. And so that's what I was wondering, because it's like, I don't think I heard any negativity, which I know you were purposely trying to avoid. But then I'm like, so what is it about this movie that made you feel like you hated it or didn't like it at first?
I was angry, I think, one, and I've never really thought about why I hated it so bad, but one, I am such a huge fan of The Wicker Man, and I felt like The Wicker Man did it better. And I was, I guess, bugged that the movie wasn't what I was expecting it was going to be. I don't know what I was expecting when I went in to see it, but it wasn't what I was expecting. And so I was mad about it. And so that made me hate it. I'm like, no, I hate this movie. I never want to watch it again. I felt like it was ripping off The Wicker Man, and I didn't want it to get praised for it, because I just loved The Wicker Man so much that I didn't feel like this movie was necessary at the time. And I think part of how that helped what helped change it is my better understanding of Christian and Pele than what I had before.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the movie before, I'm like, good riddance, you got what you deserved. And now I don't feel that way at all. I feel like he didn't deserve. While he was an incredibly flawed character who was not good for her, he was also manipulated.
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, and with drugs. They were like cattle going into a chute. And they were brought there, and Pele brought them there. He knew exactly what was going to happen to them.
Yeah.
And that's like sociopathic and not okay. And so I think looking at it differently versus what I looked at it the first time I saw it, that's why I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But it's not one that I'm going to put on again. It's not like The Wicker Man. Like, I watched The Wicker Man a bunch of times. But, no. I don't hate Ari Aster. I just don't love I don't love it. And maybe we need to do Hereditary, because maybe if we do Hereditary, I might not hate it.
Yeah.
Because that one, I do not like it.
So maybe we'll set it the next season. We'll have Hereditary at some point. We'll get to it. But, yeah, because I think both of us can safely say we liked it a lot better than we initially did on the second watch, which
absolutely,
this podcast is good about doing that for us, I think, in a lot of ways.
Pake, it wasn't going to take much. Because I hated it. Like, absolutely. Would never have watched it again if we weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't, then I wouldn't have understood some things that I saw this time. And I think that helped me process through some of those feelings. But I am not ready to watch Hereditary. Not this season. Maybe we'll get a guest on for that one.
Yeah.
Because that one, and maybe I will, before we cover it, maybe I'll figure out why I hated it so much the first time before. Maybe I'll, like, think about it and say, why did you hate it so much? I don't know what it was. I just did. I hated it. And then I went to watch Midsommar, thinking, oh, I know it's Ari Aster, but it's got that, you know, I really love The Wicker Man, and this might be really good, and I hated it, because it wasn't good. I couldn't appreciate it for what it was at the time. My headspace, I guess. Now, I look at it differently, and like I said, I really related to Danny a lot through this. I didn't go through the trauma that she did, but I know what it's like to be someone who ends up apologizing for something that isn't your fault. That's a big thing. And then worrying about being alone.
Yeah.
So I related to her. I looked at things differently because I guess, why did I hate this so much? Or find something that I liked about it. And so that my mindset was different. And that helped a lot. Because I know you didn't like this movie either.
Yeah, it's a bigger turnaround, I think, for me. Is like, I was also one of those people who's like, I saw it in theaters and I just did not like it. And it's the same thing, people who did, who were like, why not? And it's like, I couldn't give like a very good concrete other than just like,
no.
I don't know if it's a mental thing where I was like, I was expecting it to be something different. And it's not what I expected. And that shouldn't be a good enough reason, but it was just like nothing really held to me. I was just like, it's not what I was wanting it to be at the time. But then, so I did benefit from having already seen it, remembering pretty much everything, all the main plot points. So knowing what I'm getting into and then rewatching it through a different lens, really looking into the themes and the character arcs and looking at, the foreshadowing and things building up to the things that I knew were coming that helped them make more sense. Like I said, I think it's even a bigger swing around than you. I don't know, maybe just you were at a lower level than I was, maybe a little bit to go up. But to where I go from like saying I did not like this movie to going, I very much enjoyed this second watch.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, and I understand it a lot more. I'm not going to say I love it, because I don't. But I definitely understand it a lot more, and I'm glad we covered it, because I think it was good for me to go through and realize that, like The Ritual, sometimes when I watch something the first time, I'm not in the right mindset, or I need to deal with being disappointed something isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And like you said, this isn't, I don't see myself ever just like wanting to just rewatch this movie at any time. But I don't do that anyway, most of the time with anything. Right. I don't do that in general.
Yeah.
But there is a turnaround now that like when this movie comes up in conversations with people, my reaction now will be, oh yeah, that's a great movie. I feel like there is a little bit of a change there to me there.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to say it's great, but it's definitely better than I thought it was.
Yeah.
There's more there. It's not a complete shutdown. I'm not going to like completely shut it down and say, no, I hated it, because I don't. I don't hate the movie. I've got some appreciation for it based on the conversation that we had and just thinking about things. I think it's a decent movie. It's not my favorite. I also think it helped me watching The Wicker Man last week.
Yeah, it really did, having, like I said that at the beginning of the episode or earlier on, is having that fresh in my mind. There's a lot of like comparisons and parallels that like I think that benefited from having that there. Where I was like, oh yeah, of course, like it's this.
Yeah. There were things that were similar and things that were different, and I have to remind myself sometimes that even if you love the original of something, it's okay to appreciate a remake or an update or a movie that's similar, that you don't have to hate it. Yeah.
Like sometimes things are bad, but
yeah.
But then also, there's the saying, comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where if that's all you're focused on, it's like, well, I thought it was going to be like this and it wasn't, so now I don't like it. It was like, well, you've denied yourself enjoying something because it wasn't what you thought it was supposed to be compared to a different thing that you like.
Mm-hmm. I guess I should go into it like I did when I went to see Dawn of the Dead 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Because the original was such a big deal to me as my favorite zombie movie ever. And so when I went to see Dawn of the Dead 2004, I have friends who are big George A. Romero fans who were so frustrated by the remake. They did not like it at all. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm like, I can see appreciating both of these for the things that they were, because they were similar but different.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that just because I like the original doesn't mean that something that is kind of similar can't be fun too and can't be enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I am not going to go and watch the 171-minute version. That is the director's cut. I am not going to do that. There's extended scenes and just more of everything. So no, I'm not going to do that. But Pake, we have done it. We have ripped the Band-Aid off of something that has been plaguing us for such a long time. And now I just feel this huge release of, okay,
all the anxiety,
we've done it.
All the worry about, we're going to have to cover that at some point, and it's all just up in flames and up in smoke now.
It's up in flames. It's gone. See the smoke?
We did it. We stuffed it full of hay and put it in a bear skin and set it all up. We did it.
Yep. It's gone. It's on fire. Burn, baby, burn.
Oh my goodness. And then we have the feedback phone, so hopefully some interesting thoughts from listeners coming in on this for that too. So I'll go get it.
All right.
All right, and we do have some feedback this week, and by some, I mean a lot, especially by Run for Your Lives standards. We have a lot. Man, we should have done this movie so much sooner. No,
I guess.
Perfect timing. Had a lot of people excited about thoughts and had their own thoughts, and we just gonna dive right into it.
I know. I've heard from a few people who didn't leave feedback that they're really looking forward to what I have to say about this movie because they know how much I don't like it. So, the first person to send in feedback, Catherine, says, thank you for the Wicker Man warm-up. And she put that in quotations, so it's pretty awesome. Before this long one. For some reason, I watched the 3-hour-long director's cut. It starts so depressing and never really lets up. I do love the complicated ending, especially the bear. Everything is so beautiful in Midsommar, even the dead tree.
Yeah, hope you, we didn't watch, after you've listened to this, we didn't watch the 3-hour extended one, but, good for you. Des writes in just to say, oh, now it's on. Open the floodgates. I wonder what he means by that. I guess assuming that we were going to just absolutely rip this apart, or at least you would, throughout this, because I know Des knows how you initially felt about this movie and maybe still have some thoughts. But no, I think we did pretty good. Nice.
I think we did. I don't think I completely trashed it.
Mm-mm.
I think I pointed out things that I saw this time through.
Yeah. And I honestly, I mean, you just listened to this episode, so I actually came away with it with a much more, positive, respect for it than I did the first time I watched it. Now that I knew what I was getting into, I did appreciate it, enjoy it a lot more.
That's the thing, right? You know what you're getting into, so you can look at it differently. Levi says, I'm pumped for Daphne to hate this, and it's in all caps.
Mm-hmm. Which, Levi, if you're listening to this on the day that it's released, happy birthday. One day late. Yes. As we're recording this, it's your birthday, and then as you hear this, it was yesterday, if you're listening on the day we release it. But also, that's fine, and happy birthday to you anyway.
Yes.
Tony writes in and says, I watch this movie all the time. In fact, I just watched it like 2 weeks ago. I think visually it is stunning. It is bright and colorful in contradiction to the horrors that are going on. There is purpose in every action and every line. You can pick up on subtle details every time you watch. The manipulation of Dani by the villagers is fascinating to me, especially if you pay attention to how her friends are treated in comparison. They love bomb Dani and tolerate the rest of the group. They start isolating her from them too, making sure she is comforted by either Pele or the women when something upsets her. I know you will cover all of this, but one little thing that I found out that I don't think is commonly known is the headdress that Pele is wearing at the end of the movie is a plant called vetch. It is used to fix soil, stop erosion, foraging for animals, and for medicinal purposes. It also is a vining plant that wraps around other plants and covers, wraps around, and chokes out others, all while looking pretty and pleasant. These kind of details are why I love this movie.
Wow.
That is really good. We did talk about a lot of that stuff, but yeah, that last little piece of trivia there we did not, and I did not know about. But yeah, it definitely adds to, we did talk about the character of Pele a little bit and how it is a really good kind of metaphor for how he is, where it all seems beautiful and friendly, but he really is kind of parasitic, and you see him really kind of choking out things and being predatory in a way. So yeah, it is really cool the way that was done.
Yeah. Alma says, y'all are not going to believe this, but I still haven't watched this flick, mostly because my son saw it in the theater and said it was good but disturbing, and that I might not like it.
Interesting. Well, I wonder if you've checked it out now to listen to this. You'll have to let us know, then when you did watch it, what your thoughts were.
Absolutely.
Jason says, I've never seen anything quite like this movie. It was disturbing AF, artful, thought-provoking, and fascinating on a bunch of different levels. I loved the slow pace and the bright look of it, contrasting with the metaphorical darkness, and I thought it was so smartly written, with a deep understanding of cultural and relationship dynamics. I could go on. One of my all-time favorite movies of any kind.
Veronica says, I only watched it once, but it haunted me ever since. Agreed. Veronica. I feel like it left scenes ingrained in my brain. The PTSD aside, it felt like an amazing piece of art. Music and beautiful scenery against the violent and unpredictable storyline was insane.
And we have one from Andy, which, correct me if I'm wrong, might be the first time we've heard from you, or at least first in a while, if not. But yeah, always love to hear from people we haven't heard from or haven't in a while. So Andy says, such a bizarre and strange movie. What other horror films take place in the bright light of summer, cults, drugs, PhDs, asshole boyfriends, ancient religions? Jesus Christ, what a movie Midsommar is.
Wendy says, I just caught most of this the other day. So well acted. I just love Florence Pugh. It's a rare horror movie that is so unpredictable. I never really could imagine what would happen next.
All right. So yeah, what we're getting is just like, because I know we went into it not as heavy a fans, Daphne much more than me even. And then yet like, there's so many people with the feedback that are just adore this movie and love it. And that's the great about like, the subjectivity of art. In a lot of those ways is that like something that doesn't really resonate with one person might resonate very deeply with somebody else. And I just think that's really cool. But we've still got more comments to go that still run that gamut. So Connor is next. Says, I haven't seen this since around the time it came out. I wasn't really a fan of it. Don't get me wrong, I think it's shot beautifully and the atmosphere brings you into the movie. Just couldn't keep my attention the first time I watched, and also thought Florence Pugh acted her ass off in this. I told myself this would be one I'd probably not revisit after that first watch, but I guess you're right. Never say never.
Yeah, that's what I posted with the graphic. Because I have said I never want to cover it. But here we are. Lara says, this movie was a great throwback to 70s folk horror films like The Blood on Satan's Claw. I have not seen that, and now I feel the need to go watch it. Or The Wicker Man that you guys just covered last week. I wouldn't say it was as traumatic and terrifying as Aster's Hereditary, but I do love how he created an environment of horror and unnaturalness in scenes dressed in light, flowers, and cottagecore quaintness. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And Hereditary. Daphne already said it. We're going to cover it next season, but we're going to make it happen. I still haven't seen it, so
I do not like it.
Interesting.
It's worse for me than Midsommar. Like,
perfect.
I hated that movie. There's only one of Ari Aster's movies that I actually really liked.
Beau is Afraid, of course, is your favorite movie of all time.
No. I think it was Eddington is the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that one.
All right. We do have one more. It's the last one, but a big one. A lot of thoughts, which is great from our friend Rinaldi. We haven't heard in a little bit. So he says, Midsommar's a psychological thriller with a disturbing and artistic look at a Nordic cult. It was well written, smartly directed with its filming choices and the dynamics of the group and how it affects Florence Pugh's character Danny over the course of the film. The kills were disturbing even if they weren't gory, because all the victims were barely alive and then were killed slowly while unable to move. That's when you know artistically this movie is brilliant. It makes you feel what Danny is feeling psychologically and what the characters who are killed are feeling as they are attacked one by one. Personally, I only watched this movie once and I've never watched it again because it put me inside Danny's head too successfully and trauma times infinity for Danny in this movie. I can't handle trauma times infinity on that level. And finally, Danny's friend who was talking to Danny on the phone gave the worst advice in the world to Danny. She should have broken up with her dirtbag boyfriend and his friends and then moved in with the friend that she was talking to on the phone. But if that happened, the movie Midsommar wouldn't exist, so there's that. Thanks for covering this film. Daphne and Pake, you guys are awesome. Thanks. So are you.
Thank you, Rinaldi. Yeah, I'm wondering what people are going to think about our take on this movie, because I was actually a lot kinder to the boyfriend, because I know they painted him to be an asshole, but I still feel like he is nothing compared to Pele. Like, Pele was the devil. Well, if you'd like to send feedback, which we absolutely love,
yeah,
you can join the Podcastica Discord. We are on there. We have a channel. You can leave feedback there. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast. Or you can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. If you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We are available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need. And give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that's the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do. Of course, speaking of sharing the love, got to give those shout outs to things going on in the Podcastica universe around us and beyond. A lot of great stuff for you to check out. Of course, Dragon Cast, because House of the Dragon is back and running, and this season has been phenomenal so far. Holy cow, I've been loving it so much. So definitely tune into Dragon Cast to hear Veronica, Wendy, and Archmaester Rennie covering those episodes as they come out. Just doing a phenomenal job over there for a phenomenal show, so check that out. Also, Still Slaying is still slaying, as Penny, Kara, and Anwin are talking some more Buffy this week. Season 5, Episode 3, to be exact. So, for the Buffy fans out there, definitely be tuning into what they're doing and covering their favorite episodes and arcs and stuff over there. Buffy and Angel. Sometimes they branch out and just do other vampire stuff. But yeah, check that out, of course. And speaking of vampire stuff, outside of Podcastica, our good friends over at the Pirate Core Entertainment Podcast Network, there's the Vamp Cast going on over there with Vampire Lestat coverage going on. So episode 6 this week, Laura, Becky, Billy, and Mark got quite the team covering that one this week. So check that out over there if you want to do that. Yeah, and a lot of great other shows over on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network that you can check out. Again, I just recently binged both seasons of The Pit and loved it. Now I'm just with everybody else in the world that was watching it, waiting for season 3. But of course, Emmy nominations just came out last week, and to no surprise to anyone, it got all the love again this year. So much love for The Pit. So I'm sure that Becky and Mandy over there are very happy with that.
Absolutely. I'm sure they're celebrating. I mean, they have had all those cast interviews. They're so into it. It's such a great podcast. They need to get more love.
Yeah. And then also got to give a shout out to our friends over at TV Podcast Industries. Also like to cover a lot of comic booky shows and nerdy stuff like that. And so, of course, Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out in a couple of weeks. So I'm sure after it comes out that they'll have some coverage and stuff of that over there. So stay tuned on that, and I'll let you know for sure when that drops. But yeah, you can still check out some other stuff. The Boys wrapped up their final season earlier this year, so they've got kind of a season wrap up to talk all about that. Kind of all of their, thoughts on the ending of The Boys and stuff like that. So you can check that out. Plus some summer 2026 shows that they recommend. A little special there for them to talk about and do that. So you can check that out as well. A lot of great shows coming up. This has been kind of my, finally catching up on old shows that I've been not watching for too long. So I binged through The Pit, finished that, needed to find something else. And then I was like, oh yeah, there's 5 seasons of Only Murders in the Building that exist. So that's what I'm doing now with my free time, is binging through that. I watched the entire first season in one sitting. So obviously I find it to be that good. I could not stop.
There's a lot of great TV. I really love that all of my friends kept telling me to watch Widow's Bay because I ended up loving it so much. And now I can't wait for season 2 because to me, it was perfection. It also got some love in the Emmy nominations. So
yes,
hopefully it does well.
Definitely. Yeah. That's another great one to check out. So good TV. But anyway, outside of that, if you want more of me and Daphne, our other podcast, the Buffalo podcast with our friends Jeff and Jerry, we've been doing that every week, still releasing new episodes there. We've been hanging out, having fun, being goofy, playing games, just hanging out. It's been a great time, and we'd love for you to come over and join us with your ears.
Yes. And it's super exciting. In October, we're all 4 going to be together. We're going to do another episode in person, and it's just going to be awesome.
Yes.
Can't wait.
But yeah, so thanks for sticking around with us after the little break last week. And then now we're here. We're back here with this one. And we'll be back next week. We keep on rolling. Daphne, what are we doing next week?
Well, when a best-selling novelist travels to a remote Irish inn to scatter his parents' ashes, he becomes obsessed with chilling legends of a witch said to haunt the hotel's sealed honeymoon suite. We are discussing Damien McCarthy's 2026 film, Hokum.
Hokum, yes. There's a lot of great newer horror movies that came out this year and are coming out that are kind of on the radar. I just, we've talked about The Wheel. I yesterday added a whole bunch of new stuff that's just come out to that. It's a lot of interesting stuff that we want to get to soon. So yeah, I don't know, I may be pushing for a lot more newer releases too. So this is kind of one of those. And I think we had a fun time with it. So definitely check that one out and let us know what you think.
Yeah. And with that, we've reached the end of another fun episode of Run for Your Lives. Yes, we covered Midsommar. Yes, we're checking it off the list. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.